Too many older adults end up feeling invisible, like their time, their voice, even their needs don't count anymore. And sadly, it doesn't always happen in dramatic ways. Sometimes it's subtle. A pattern that builds quietly over time until one day, you realize you're giving everything and getting very little in return. That's not what aging with grace should look like. That's not what love should feel like. So in this video, I want to walk you through 6 behaviors, 6 patterns, you should never allow from your children as you age. These aren't just warnings. They're reminders. Reminders that your life still matters, your comfort matters, and your decisions matter. Before we dive in, I'd love to know, where are you watching from today? Drop your city or state in the comments below. I always love seeing how far our community is reaching. 1. Disrespect. Disrespect isn't always loud. It doesn't have to be a shouting match or a slammed door to hurt. More often, it's the quiet things that cut the deepest. A dismissive tone. A mocking smile. An eye roll when you try to share something meaningful. Maybe you tell a story from your past, and someone interrupts with, "That's not how things work anymore, Mom," followed by a chuckle that leaves you feeling small. You might smile along to keep the peace, but inside, it stings. It makes you question your worth, your place, and whether your experiences still matter to anyone. Let's get one thing straight, they do. Your memories, your thoughts, your perspective, they're not outdated. They're valuable. And you have every right to be treated as someone whose life has meaning. You carried your children through their hardest moments. You gave up sleep, money, maybe even your own dreams to see them thrive. That kind of love deserves more than silence or sarcasm in return. If you start to feel like your presence is a burden, or like your words are being taken lightly, it's time to protect your dignity. That doesn't mean causing a scene or making accusations. It simply means being honest. In a quiet moment, you can say something like, "When you laugh at my stories, it makes me feel like they don't matter." A sentence that simple can open the door to a better understanding. And if it doesn't? If the dismissiveness continues? Then it's okay to draw a line. It's okay to step away from conversations that make you feel invisible. Because love without respect isn't love, it's obligation. And you are not here to be tolerated. You're here to be heard, valued, and treated like someone who still matters. Your age doesn't take away your right to be respected. In fact, it only strengthens it. 2. Financial dependence. This one is especially hard, because it starts from a place of love. You see your child struggling, and your first instinct is to help. Maybe they need money for rent, a car repair, student loans, or some other emergency. You reach into your savings, thinking it's just this once. But somehow, it becomes a pattern. The calls keep coming. "Mom, I just need a little help this month." "Dad, I promise I'll pay you back." And because you care, because you want to see them stable, you keep saying yes. But here's what I want you to think about: every dollar you give away today is a piece of your own future you're giving up. Money isn't just money at this stage of life, it's security, it's peace of mind, it's freedom. You worked for decades to build a nest egg. You skipped luxuries. You saved. You planned. And that was never just so you could bail out an adult child over and over again. Yes, it's okay to help occasionally. Yes, it's okay to support your child if you truly can. But when it becomes a routine, when your child is well into their 30s or 40s and still turning to you as their financial safety net, something's out of balance. You're not doing them a favor. You're holding them back from learning how to stand on their own 2 feet. And it's not just about money. It's about energy. Emotional energy. Stress. Anxiety. That quiet fear that grows when you lie awake wondering, will I have enough for myself? What if I get sick? What if I need care? These are real concerns, and they matter. So if this pattern is happening in your life, it's okay to pause and say, I love you, but I can't keep supporting you financially in the same way. You can offer support that encourages independence. Let's build a budget together, or I'll match what you save, but I won't cover the whole amount. That's not punishment. That's love with wisdom. Your retirement is not a backup plan for someone else's choices. It's your reward for a lifetime of hard work. You've earned the right to rest, to live comfortably, and to protect your peace. Don't let guilt take that away from you. 3. Emotional manipulation. Emotional manipulation is one of the hardest things to recognize, especially when it comes from your own children. Why? Because it often doesn't look like manipulation at all. It looks like concern. It sounds like sadness. It feels like pressure. And before you know it, you're second-guessing your own decisions, not because they were wrong, but because someone made you feel guilty for making them. Let's say you finally make plans to do something for yourself, maybe a lunch with friends, or even just a quiet weekend to rest, and then the phone rings. Mom, I really need you to watch the kids. I guess I'll have to cancel my interview now. Just like that, all your excitement drains away. You feel selfish. You feel like the bad guy. Or maybe you say no to another loan, and your son says, I thought you'd understand after everything I've been through. And suddenly, you're left wondering if you're being cold or unloving. But here's the truth, you are not selfish for having limits. You are not uncaring for needing rest. And you are absolutely allowed to say no, without feeling like you're failing someone. The problem is, over time, some adult children learn how to push just the right buttons. They know where your soft spots are. They know how much you care. And without even meaning to, they start using your love as leverage. That's not healthy. That's not fair. And most importantly, that's not love. So what can you do when you feel that emotional pressure creeping in? First, pause. Don't respond right away. Take a breath and say something like, let me think about that. That small sentence gives you space to check in with yourself, to think clearly, and to avoid being pressured in the moment. Then, when you're ready, speak with love, but speak firmly. You can say, I notice that when I say no, I often feel guilty. I love you, but I need to make decisions without being made to feel bad about them. It might feel uncomfortable at first. It might create tension. But real relationships, healthy ones, can survive honesty. And boundaries, when set with care, actually make love stronger, not weaker. You can still be a wonderful parent and protect your peace. You can still show love and say no. These two things are not opposites. They go hand in hand. And if your child truly respects you, they'll learn to understand that too. 4. Misuse of your time, space, and freedom. Let's be honest, being needed can feel good. When your children or grandchildren call you for help, it reminds you that you still matter in their lives. You love being involved. You love being there. But here's the problem, when your time, your home, and your freedom are constantly taken for granted, when your own needs are always the last priority, that's not love. That's overuse. And it slowly wears you down. Maybe you've seen it happen already. You finally sit down with a cup of tea or start that book you've been meaning to read, and then the phone rings. Can you come over right now? Or worse, they show up unannounced, expecting dinner, laundry, babysitting, like you're still running the household full-time. And because you've always said yes, it's just assumed that you'll always keep doing it. But here's the truth, your schedule matters. Your peace matters. Your right to rest, to enjoy your home, your hobbies, your quiet moments, that matters too. Being a parent or grandparent does not mean your life should revolve around everyone else's needs 24/7. And this isn't about rejecting your family. It's about creating balance. Because when your time is never respected, you start to disappear. Little by little, your day-to-day life becomes filled with everyone else's errands, everyone else's priorities, and there's no space left for you. So what can you do? Start by setting clear, kind expectations. You don't need to be harsh. You can simply say, I love spending time with the kids, but I need a little notice so I can plan around my own schedule. Or, I can help on Saturday afternoon, but I'll need the rest of the weekend for myself. That's not rude. That's honest. And honesty is how we protect our energy. As we get older, our energy shifts. And that's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just part of life. You may not be able to do everything you once did, and guess what? You shouldn't have to. You've done your part. More than enough. Don't let guilt keep you on call 24/7. You are not a backup plan. You're a person. And your time is just as valuable now as it ever was. 5. Neglect. Sometimes the deepest hurt in later life doesn't come from what your children say, it comes from what they don't say. The silence. The forgetfulness. The missed calls. The weeks that go by without a visit. You're not asking for much. You're not expecting them to drop everything. But you do expect something, some sign that you're still seen, still valued, still part of their lives. Maybe you've been recovering from surgery. Maybe you've been feeling more tired, or you just needed help carrying in groceries. You waited, hoping someone would notice, someone would call. But no one did. And while you try to give them grace, they're busy. They have kids. They have jobs. There's a part of you that aches with disappointment. You were there. For everything. The sleepless nights when they were sick. The tears after heartbreak. The times when they had nothing and you gave them everything. You showed up, over and over again. So when you're in need, even if it's just emotional need, and no one shows up for you, it cuts deep. What's worse, you don't want to beg. You don't want to seem needy. You don't want to guilt trip anyone. So you stay quiet. But the silence doesn't bring peace, it brings loneliness. Let me say this clearly, you deserve to be cared for. Not because of what you did for them in the past, but because you are still here now. You still have needs. You still have feelings. And you are allowed to ask for support. The best way to break the cycle of neglect is to speak honestly. No hints. No guilt. Just truth. You can say, I've been feeling a little alone lately. It would really mean a lot if you called once in a while. Or, I have a doctor's appointment next week, would you be able to come with me? That's not being dramatic. That's being human. And if the silence continues? Then it's time to shift your focus. Give your energy to the people who do show up. Maybe it's a neighbor. A church friend. A cousin who checks in. These people are your real support system now, and that's okay. Love doesn't always have to come from where you expect it. What matters is that it comes at all. You are not invisible. You are not forgotten. And you absolutely deserve to be cared for, with consistency, not just when it's convenient. 6. Constant caregiving without receiving care. There's a moment many older parents face but rarely talk about, the day they realize they've gone from full-time parent, to full-time grandparent, to full-time caregiver again, without ever really getting a break. It might start with one small favor. Can you help with the baby while I go back to work? Or, could you move closer so you can help with school pickups? You say yes, of course. You love your grandkids. You want to help. You feel useful again. But then it grows. That one afternoon turns into 3. Then 5. Suddenly, your retirement, your chance to rest, is packed with responsibilities you never agreed to long-term. And while you're bending over backwards to keep everything running, no one seems to be asking how you're doing. Worse, when you try to bring up your own needs, your health, your future care, people brush it off. Don't worry about that now. Or, we'll figure it out later. But later never comes. And you're left wondering, what happens when I need help? Who will be there for me? Let's be clear, you are not just a helper. You're not a live-in babysitter. You're not a free driver or a backup housekeeper. You are a person with a body that gets tired, with a heart that needs rest, and with a future that matters just as much as anyone else's. It's okay to help your family, but not at the cost of your health, your joy, or your independence. If you're feeling drained, it's not selfish to say, I need to reclaim some time for myself. That sentence may feel bold, but it's absolutely necessary. You're allowed to set limits. You can say, I can help once a week, but not every day, or I need a few mornings a week just for me. That's not you letting anyone down. That's you standing up for yourself. And when it comes to planning your own care, don't wait for someone else to start the conversation. You can say, I'd like us to make a plan in case I ever need help. Talk about medical decisions, where you might live, how finances will be handled. If they avoid the conversation, it doesn't mean you stop. It means you involve the people who are willing, whether it's a lawyer, a friend, a care coordinator, or another trusted person. This isn't about being difficult. It's about being responsible. Because your well-being isn't a side note. It's the foundation for everything else. You've cared for everyone. Now it's time to make sure someone cares for you. Let's take a moment to step back and really think about everything we've talked about. Disrespect. Financial dependence. Emotional manipulation. Misuse of your time. Neglect. And being expected to care for everyone, but never being cared for in return. Each one of these things can chip away at your peace, your energy, and your self-worth. And not all at once. Sometimes, it happens little by little, so quietly that you don't even realize what's missing until you're running on empty. But you're not here to fade into the background. You're not here just to give until there's nothing left. You've lived a full life. You've sacrificed more than anyone will ever know. You've shown up, time and time again, for the people you love. Now it's time to show up for yourself. And that starts with one decision, to choose dignity. Dignity means your voice is heard. Your choices are respected. Your time is not just filled, it's valued. It means you are not afraid to say, no, when you need rest, or yes, when something brings you joy, even if no one else understands it. Setting boundaries isn't rejecting your children. It's teaching them how to respect you in this new season of life. It's saying, I still matter. I'm still here. And I'm not done living on my own terms. Because you're not too old to protect your peace. You're not too late to rediscover your joy. And you are certainly not finished. So if even one part of this message felt like it was speaking directly to you, I want you to do one small thing today. Go down to the comments and write, I choose dignity. That's it. Just those 3 words. Write them for yourself. Write them as a promise that from this moment on, you won't settle for anything less than the respect, care, and peace you've earned. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. And you are far, far from finished. We'll talk again soon. But until then, please, take care of yourself. You're worth it.